Hi, today we are talking about letting go. And as it pertains to people with complex PTSD who are recovering from complex PTSD. And this process is a little different and it's really important. And that's really why I want to dive in. Letting go is the beginning of new beginnings. If we don't actually go through this process of letting go, if our mind body system cannot let go, we do not get new beginnings. That's how we stay in cycles and patterns and habits that we don't want to be in anymore. And it's actually because our brain cannot complete the letting go process. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to help your brain complete this and also um, a lot more about this. And so I'm going to dive in here. I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and emotional wellness coach, and I specialize in complex PTSD recovery and also helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And then there's also that same process, that same brain work. Um, is really the brain has a really beautiful process for this resolving symptoms. And that same process is also how we grow, how we thrive, how we master our environment, adaptability, lots and lots of things. It's also how we let things go. And so this process gets stopped or blocked. And so when I specialize in helping people get that unblocked and moving. And so that brain can go through its process of letting things go, resolving symptoms, growth, maturation, mastery, evolution, all the good things, and improving our life. Uh, that's fun. Anyway, so the brain does this. If your brain is not doing this, that's because it's blocked and stopped. People who have complex PTSD, this process is already compromised and struggling. And so we talk to that part of the brain to get this process unblocked and moving. And that's really what I do. I work people's brains and I help them work with a different part of the brain than we're used to working in talk therapy. And and this part of the brain is the decider of whether things will heal and whether the process will be open or whether the process for resolving symptoms, growth, and getting growth, health, wellness, maturation, all that stuff will be blocked. And so that's why I like to play with that part of the brain because if the brain goes through this process, it's done. If we just talk about it, we're not that's us talking about it. That's not the brain going through its natural process for actually creating health and wellness and resolving symptoms. So that's really what I do. And so let's talk about letting go. This is a source of major frustration for many of us, and we get really frustrated. Frustration happens to be the emotional energy that reports to the brain what's not working, and this is not working. And letting go does not always work in people, and we can get really frustrated as a result or in response to that, whether it's within ourselves or within others. And so, um, we'll say things like, "Gosh, just let it go already," or we'll say things like, "She never lets things go," or he just won't let it go, right? And what they're talking about might be memories, like they might be talking about grievances they have with people, um, challenges they've had, experiences with people, memories, emotions. They might just never be able to let the sorrow go, grief go, anger go, frustration go. It's just constantly hanging around. They might be hopes and dreams that need to actually be let go of so that the brain can create new ones, more accurate, maybe even similar to the old one, but an updated version of the hopes and dreams. Also, expectations. They always have the same expectation, but they know that this cannot be met right now. But they will not let that expectation go. This can also be problematic with delusions, where we have delusions that we're not letting go of, like where gosh, I see this one a lot, and it's a brain thing, it's a brain trick, and people, if we have in, I might talk about that more in a little bit, but this is an important one. This is also very prevalent in why people stay in toxic relationships are the delusions. They can't actually let what they hope and dream for and their ideal situation go so that they can be in reality and read the information here. Their brain can't be here in reality, so it keeps making delusions, and that's one of the reasons why people stay stuck in toxic situations or just unhelpful situations. Um, Comments people have had comments made to them, or they've said comments and they can't let them go, right? That's some of the stuff that gets stuck and won't let go. Obsessions are part of this, where we cannot let it go. This has to do with anything from romantic obsessions to obsessive compulsive disorder. This not letting things go is part of why these challenges are occurring. And so when we get the brain to let the obsession go, then all of a sudden we're going to see health and wellness show up in the place where the obsession was. This is a massive relief for people with obsessive compulsive disorder. And this is really how I help them overcome this disorder and how I help myself overcome this disorder. Um, with romantic obsessions, this can be actually the beginning of that letting go, can be really a big adjustment for people whose brains have wrapped around in a obsession like that. Um, anyway, but it's still healthy, even though sometimes health is disappointing, right? It's part of being. Let me tell you, health is about experience. Emotional health is about being able to experience a broad range of emotions well, right? If we cannot experience a broad range of emotions well, we will narrow it down, and then we will only do those emotions we can do, because we know if we get scared, we're going to behave badly. If we get angry, we're going to behave badly. If we get jealous, we're going to behave badly. So don't feel those feelings, right? Don't stay away from those feelings, right? But really, we want to be able to do those emotions well. And if you can't let emotions go, this means you can't do them well. And I want to talk about the letting go process right now because it applies. This is not a choice. The part of the brain responsible for blocking you from letting go is not a choice center. You do not get choices when that part of the brain is involved. You get whatever it decides is best for your survival. It chooses for you. And um, so I want to say 17,000 things at the same time. Okay. But it's this part of the brain is not a logic or reasoning center. It's deciding for you whether you can let something go or not. And it's not even, it doesn't even, it's not even operating on, oh, we should let this go. No, it's, this is bad. Out. This is a threat to our survival. Out. Should close down the healing process. Shift to everything to survival mode. Survival mode and this processing mode don't happen at the same time. That's a big word. That's a big sentence. I'm sure there are some slight overlaps and caveats, but I'll tell you what, if you're in any degree of survival mode, it is shutting down your processing mode, your ability to process emotions. And that the end of processing emotions is letting go. It doesn't happen in the beginning. You don't decide, hey, I'm just gonna let it go. You can do that. It could be a really great thing because you and your brain are team, and it's listening to you, and it's like, okay, let's go. We're gonna let this go. Boss says, let it go, right? They're kind of the boss up there, the prefrontal cortex, or at least the mind body system lets that part of the brain think it's the boss. Um, so they can be moving towards that, but if the survival system says that is reacts to it, because and it will, then it will shut down the healing letting go process. And so you might start that process, but it will get shut down and it's out. And also, some people can let things go, but it takes a really long time. And that's because this process is very compromised. The survival system is fight going in this direction, and it gets to override all the other brain functions because survival is our top priority. We're wired like this. So if the survival system says we're in danger, we're going to act like it, whether we like it or not. Right. And so we really want to not just start this emotion, memory, experience, expectation, processing process. We want to complete it. That's where you get let go. That's where you get the letting go process. And many people's brain can't do that. I hope I'm saying that a lot. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I want you to understand that if you are seeing people with this problem, you are seeing impaired brain function. And this process needs support. It's designed like that. The survival system is actually looking for signals from the body that it's safe to leave the processing process open and running while pain is moving through the system. And any pain, emotional pain, mental pain, relational pain, social pain, physical, I think I said already. I forget that a lot. Um, anyway, a somatic pain. There we go. If any of that stuff starts running through the system, the brain responds quickly by getting us away from pain. That's the survival system job. Pain equals death, right? I mean, all survival systems know that. Right, it's not very logical because it's like, well, no, actually, a lot of times it doesn't. And in the case of emotions, no, that's actually just information moving through the system. And right, but that's the top part of the brain knows that. Those other parts of the brain understand it because those are the logic and reasoning side. They're not all or nothing. Pain, good. Pain, bad. Pleasure, neutral, good, right? They have more adaptability, insight, understanding. They understand all the in-betweens, the grays, the sliding scale. The survival system doesn't, we can't expect it to. It doesn't do work like that. When we work with electricity in a way the electricity doesn't work, we're going to have problems. If we try to work with that part of the brain and make it do things it doesn't do, we're just making ourselves miserable and we're making this process a lot longer than it needs to be. Let's just treat it like a survival system, and it needs to receive signals from the body to interpret them as safe to let this process, the healing process, be running, or to shut it down and fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. And it's going to decide that with or without you supporting it. And it already is. And if you've got complex PTSD, you spend most of your time in survival mode. That part of the brain is very active. Those parts of the brain are even physically um, out of balance. There's some of them get enlarged, some of them shrink. Um, this part of the brain is doing what it does. But we have the opportunity to come in and send safety signals starting in the body to open this process and get healing to start and to stay on, really, is what we're doing. And so we're doing this with babies. That's why we're rocking them and we're shushing them and we're comforting them. We're actually talking to this part of the brain very naturally. Nobody had to explain it to us. This is how this brain works. It always works like this throughout our entire life. Now, I'm not going to sit and rock you or shush you because we're not even in the same place, but you can do this for yourself. You are already doing it for yourself. I should make a video on that. I'm going to do that. All the ways we are already working with this part of the brain, we just don't know. And so because we're not aware of it, we don't use it intentionally. But some of these ways we do have negative side effects and they take a long time. Crying is one of them. But you can't, I wouldn't cry your way through complex PTSD. It's just too much crying you'd have to do. But it would help you get this process moving, open and running for the majority of people. Okay, so what we want, so I really encourage interventions, specific interventions. I have four favorite that I use exclusively with clients because I know we can use them to get this letting go process up and running all the time consistently, and we can do it enough. There's a lot of interventions we just can't do enough. It's just they don't fit. So these interventions work with that part of the brain, and we can walk the brain through its letting go process. And that's really what we really want to do. There's no reason, there's no logical reason. There's plenty of emotional reasons here, but we're trying to be using logic here on the healing end of things. But there's no logical reason to um, just stay in frustration about this, because this is actually, it's like being frustrated about not digesting well. Please be frustrated about that, but at the end of the day, we need to help digestion, right? And that's what the brain is doing with the emotions and experiences. It has to digest these things in order to finish and let it go. Just like if you eat food, you have to finish the digestive process to let things go on the other end. The brain is the exact same way. Now, if people are constipated, we don't say just let it go, right? We might be frustrated, but at the end of the day, we need to actually apply interventions to help facilitate letting go, right? And that's really what we're going to be doing with the emotions. We're going to apply interventions to facilitate the letting go process. This is not a choice. People are not being willful. with this. They actually don't know how to work their mind body system to support healthy digestion and completion of things and letting things go. Okay. So I really want to remove that stigma from you from as you're dealing with other people. I'm going to talk about this, how you want to use this functionally. But I want to remove the stigma because that will also help you interact with people more functionally. Okay. Um, let's see. So you walk your brain through the letting go process. Um, I've written things down. I want to say it all at once here, but um, what what happens is that as you are working on something that you're letting go, let's say you have a hand washing um, obsession, right? You can't let it go. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in this in your nervous system, right? There's if you don't wash your hands, you start to feel distress, right? That's your body telling you all sorts of things, not you, the top of your brain. We want to get, and once that starts, the survival system starts, we're in danger, we're in danger, we're in danger. Okay, it's going to do that. And it's going to be bothering you, and it's going to be like a little monkey on your back. Go wash your hands. And it's going to make more and more distress in your body to move you to do the thing that your brain thinks, your survival system thinks is going to keep you safe, right? Get you out of peril. And so you don't want to go wash your hands because you're sick of this and you just want to let it go already. But these symptoms, the pressure, the distress, your mind body system can actually make you feel like you're actually suffocating. And so, in order to stop the suffocation or the strangulation, because this can start constricting, your heart can start pounding, heart attacks. You don't have heart attacks, but it feels like it. Then you just go wash your hands and it all turns off, right? And then repeat. And then this stuff starts to come up, right? This is the stuff that we want to get out of the hands of your survival system, right? We want to let this stuff go. We want to digest this. We want to metabolize this. This is information. Now, I'll tell you, usually with OCD, I do not work with many people that have OCD all by themselves. They usually also have complex PTSD. It's what the OCD sits on top of, right? The complex PTSD was primary. Um, so but this is information, and so this information usually is memories, it's usually fear, emotions, it's usually tons of things, worry. It is tons of memories, okay? Now, we don't need to know all that stuff because this is brain stuff. We don't really have to go look into every single one unless we do. But there's we want to see what your brain can do without us having to pick through things because that's fun. So and it's faster. And so we're noticing all this distress going through your body and we start using an intervention and we keep your processing processor open. We're applying a bunch of interventions right now. Well, probably one intervention repeatedly, maybe for 2 to 5 minutes while this is moving. We want this to finish. We want this to all this body stuff is supposed to connect and talk with the top of the brain. So we're going to open the door. The survival system is the gatekeeper, right? We got to open that gate to get all that information up. So it actually gets here. Then they're going to interpret all this stuff. They're going to say, oh my gosh, we've been looking for this stuff. We haven't seen it ever before. This is amazing. We finally got a hold of it. And they're going to take this information and they're actually going to do phenomenal things with it. They're going to process it. They're going to rewire with it. They're going to learn a ton of things. Oh, I didn't know you like this. I didn't know you didn't like that. Oh, we didn't know we couldn't get access to this information. So we didn't know. Right. And so, oh, and we've got things wired wrong. And so it's going to initiate a rewiring to make things more accurate. It's going to, in this information is information about you and all the fact that you don't even like washing your hands is in there. Right. And right? So your brain is finally figuring out this stuff and it's like, "Oh, we thought that we had to wash our hands to be safe, but we don't. That's kind of crazy." Yeah. Okay. Thank you, brain. Thank you for coming to the same page. But the brain has to go through its process of arriving on the same page. Now, once it gets this stuff figured out, which happens very quickly, mind body system wise, this can happen. Um, Getting this one little piece can happen in 5 minutes. Now, there might be more pieces, and we're going to go find them and do the same thing with them. But now, all of a sudden, that's not running with the washing the hands. So now we're going to come back because the brain was able to figure it out, look at all the pieces, get rid of what it didn't need anymore, upgrade all the programming. So the programming around this is already shifted. And now, and we don't do that. That's brain naturally do that. I don't play with that stuff. I'm just worried. I'm just focused on getting this distress up. That's all. The brain is going to brain after that, and it's going to reorganize. We're helping the brain, that when that information arrives to the top of the brain for the first time, it automatically starts initiating tons of functions, including rewiring and reorganizing. They're masters at that. I'm not getting involved. I'm not that good. We're not that good. None of us are as good as them. But we need to get the information finally into their hands. And we got to get past the survival system. So now that we did that, we're going to come back and we're going to find that hand washing compulsion again. And we're going to find it and we're going to get here and we're going to stand right in that spot, emotionally, mentally, physically, where you want to wash your hands. And we're going to see what comes up. That thing isn't going to come up anymore because that's resolved, but there's going to be something else or nothing. And what happens here, and what happened for me is I'd come to this place. I didn't have a hand washing one, but I had several other compulsions. My brain isn't braining right now. I'd have mental ones. That's why I'm not pulling up a good one. But I just would go about my day and forget what I was doing. And then I'd be somewhere else and be like, I didn't do the thing. I didn't do the malfunction. Right. And so people don't always know that they're not, that they've stopped the compulsion until they're like, hey, I only washed my hands 2 times today. Yeah, because your brain didn't do the thing because it finished it. It let it go. Right. This happens with mental stuff. If somebody made a comment and it rolls around our head, it's actually causing the survival system. This is a sign that the processing is not processing because all of a sudden that looping thought, that thing that you're thinking about, apply some interventions and it just resolves because they're using it. They're sucking it up. They're converting it into different forms. They're rewiring. They're letting things go and gone. And so these thoughts and these experiences should get processed pretty quickly. Now we're going to work this process because it's not functioning in these specific areas that you can tell. It's not processing, but we're going to get it processed and finished. When the brain finishes something, it's like, oh, how interesting. Then we're going to do it again, and it's going to say, that's interesting. That happened a couple times now. And then we're going to do it 3 times, and it's like, oh, we could do this on purpose. This is a much better process. This saves us time, energy. This saves us chemicals. Let's shift to this. Do this more so we can watch and so that we can make our own subconscious program around it, right? And you will watch your brain do this with you. And so what will happen is comments will be made, and you'll watch yourself naturally get faster and faster at it, even without using the tapping or collarbone breathing or nervous system regulation or rocking. Hugging, right? But we are designed for those things, so we will be hugging and rocking, and that's just good for us. That's not ever going to stop being good for us in our brain, our mind body system. Walking, those sorts of things. We walk through problems. That's actually fabulous. Okay, so I want you to see that this is not people being stubborn. I want you to see that this is not people, we're tolerating people's bad behavior. You don't need to do that. You need to interact with people functionally in a way that's effective and accurate and healthy. And so, I wanted you to sit back away from the problem for a moment and just understand they're not doing this on purpose. Their brain is actually struggling right here. And this is hard when you know how to work with your brain. My clients and myself, it's hard to watch people's brain struggle and not want to do something like to fix this because it's a simple fix. However, consent, boundaries, intrusiveness, don't be that person, right? Respect people's journey. But it really does equip you to interact with people differently. Because you can accurately see if they're going to be able to complete the letting go process or not. And that can really inform your decisions on what you're going to do. This in relationships, we when we have these ideals and with these hopes, you can see that if their brain actually can't complete this process of letting something go, it's not going to happen. Or we know that this is how letting go happens, and maybe we can suggest to them, hey, would you like to try this? Or maybe you could see a professional that helps people's brain, help people let things go, right? Maybe you can learn how to help your brain let things go for you. We can also be compassionate. I can see it's really frustrating that you're thinking about this thing again. You know, we can, and that compassion can be can go very will be very helpful. Compassion is very, very powerful. Um, it's very connective, it's very healing, and um, it's very liberating. Um, but you're going to be able to, when you understand this process, and the more you do this process of letting go, if you got something stuck, that's a really great opportunity just to help that thing stop. Things that get stuck, you'll know if your brain let it go or not. And people tell me all the time, "Oh, I let that go." Your mind body system is not saying that. Y'all are not on the same page. You might have mentally said that you've let that go, but it's your body has not, your subconscious mind has not, because of this evidence, right? And so this is delusional. Please do not stay there. It's okay to be delusional, and we like to hide behind delusions. There's nothing. That's a very human thing, but let's please not stay there and pretend like that's safe, and that we're doing well. Um, Ways that your brain will let you know it has not finished letting things go, your mind or body or your subconscious mind has not let things go, are things like looping thoughts, flashbacks of things are coming back into your awareness. You're talking about something, all of a sudden you're talking about this, or maybe you have visual flashbacks of that situation. It's just coming to mind. It's coming into your awareness. That's a sign that it's not complete. That letting go process is not complete. When brains are done with something, they're done. If they bring it back, it'll be in a very healthy, constructive, and energizing way. It'll energize you and everybody else around you. If it's depleting you, if it's depleting other people, we're not finished. Your brain is not finished. Brains, when they're done with something, they rewire it and make health and wellness out of it. So you're going to feel that, and they stop needing to bring it up because they can recall it in different ways. And I want to say something about that. They stop needing to bring it up like that because they know where it belongs. They've already processed it, they flagged it, they put a date stamp on it. They don't just think it's everywhere or nowhere, or like, well, maybe. They're very certain. So brains will bring it back when it's really necessary, not just if flashbacks start to take over different areas and they start to show up, and it's it's a thing. Right? That's a sign your brain's not finished processing that memory. And so we actually grab those and walk them through the processor to make the flashbacks stop. That's how I help people make those stop. Um, I teach that strategy in part 2 of my program. So really quickly we start going after those things to clean that up. Flashbacks, obsessions, looping thoughts, and guarding. If you're guarding something, I don't want to talk about that because nope, no, not doing it. Or I'm not going there. Oh heck, no. That's that. Not that those things are wrong. Maybe you shouldn't be talking about those things right now. Maybe you're not equipped to. Maybe this isn't the right time. But those are signs that we have not completed the process. Letting go is, like I said, the end of the process. It's also about grief and acceptance. And so it's the end of the grieving process. And it's actually brains grieve and complete the grieving process, they're basically like stacking up acceptance, right? And so but as we're finished with the grieving process, there's no more acceptance to make, right? It's like there's all this acceptance here. Um, and it's not always, and we'll have functional levels of acceptance before it all gets finished. Okay, so it's not an all or nothing. I can't thrive until it's all resolved. No, that's not true. Your brain will make enough to help you have function. You'll watch that take place. You'll be able to judge if you have enough acceptance by how functional you are in the areas where the grief was. Letting go is, there's also, it's a time to really, brains are doing this when there's like honors, like people are giving honors to themselves, to others, to the situation, to what they learned. They're kind of giving medals, Um, there, there's a lot of acceptance. There's a lot of neutrality. There's not this pain response or anger or heat to what they're talking about. It's very neutral. It's very accepting. This is huge grounds. This is how we get to new beginnings. The whole thing is cleaned up, and now we'll start the new beginnings new, not bringing around a bunch of baggage that still needs to be resolved. This is how we keep, like we might end relationships that we didn't actually gather all the lessons and let go of what we no longer needed. And so we'll bring that back in and we'll have the same experience with the next person with a different haircut. That's because there's challenges in the letting go process, or that experiences are required to facilitate more letting go. But I'll tell you, we want to really process as much of that experience as we can so we don't have to repeat it. We have a lot of data in that experience that if we get it processed, the brain won't need to recreate, the subconscious mind won't need to recreate the experience again to live it again. That's what children are doing with repetitive play after a trauma with their dolls or their cars or their action figures. They're actually trying to do it again. And they can't get it processed, so they'll do it again. And they can't get it processed, so they'll do it again. We're doing the same things except for without dolls, and we're actually doing it with real people as adults. And that's frustrating, and that's a sign we're not letting go, that our brain is not walking through its letting go process. So, also, not only is this how we break old patterns, toxic habits, this is also how we start new adventures, how we start receiving new ideas, and how we start rising to higher levels. That is natural progression, just like video games that have higher levels. Like if you stay playing the video game, you're going to get to higher and higher levels. Same thing here in life. We're just going to go higher levels, deeper experiences. We're not just going to stay on the same stuck plane. Also, if this letting go process isn't working, people will feel stuck. And the people around you are going to feel that stuckness too. This is important for parenting. We want to keep growing. We want to keep this process open. We want to be letting things go. We don't want to be holding on to things our children did 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We want to use it constructively. And your brain won't be able to do that unless it can go through the healing process with it. Okay, tons of stuff that even as parents, it's just brain function. We need to get that brain function up and running, cleaned up so that we can use all of our experiences in a really healthy, functional way. So, um, okay, also, the more you practice this, the better you get at letting go. This is not something that we all were wired for. Some of us have natural abilities to let things go. We're actually letting things go a little too much. That is also, we need to work on this process. There's also some of us that are not letting go at all, and some of us have a natural gift at letting go. This is really not your area of focus, but you might be seeing it in other people, and so you're like, "What is going on?" And so this is what's going on in there. And so wherever you're at in this journey, really, this this is a place we can get really good at, and and it's important. We don't just want to be consuming, we want to be releasing. And so if that balance is off, we're consuming more than we're releasing, we're going to have some massive problems. If we are consuming less than what we're sending out, we've got massive problems. We need to have a nice balance, and the mind body system needs to go through its process of finding that for you. And so we need to work that process. So I want to invite you to try out my three favorite interventions, and I these are the ones that work the fastest. They have no known side effects, and I have given them to clients over and over and over again, and they do great, regardless of their age, their cognitive ability. These ones are easy, and so I invite you to try those out, and you're going to notice some very tangible effects and results. We're not guessing. We want to see results. And so when you get one of those and you're like, oh, I can see this helps my brain do this. And I have a video in there to show you what you're looking for. Because when your brain is shifting out of survival mode and into that processing state, there's going to be some consistent things that you see. that your mind, body system is going to do. It's going to feel a little different for you because you're an individual, but you're going to watch those things occur. If those things start happening, that intervention is helping. Stick it in your back pocket and use it as often as you can. Also, this is what when people have an intervention on board that works for their brain, you're really ready to do some high level work. You can take your skill set so high and do so much healing. And so I have an 8-week process and program that I walk my clients through to help them learn these skills and to support themselves and to support their brain to resolve the symptoms they want resolved. In this program called Inner World Transformation, you actually get to target the areas, the symptoms you want resolved, and you're like, "Hey, brain, let's work on this one." And then I walk you through the exercise to resolve the symptom that you have targeted. So this is, and by the time you're finished, you're better trained at this than most therapists. So it's vital, and I want you to have these skills because you're going to be with your brain, and you can resolve this. It's great to have support. You can get support. I offer one-on-one and small group coaching. Also, there's other therapists out there in the world that are fabulous at this. If you find one that resonates with you, and you can also just use a talk therapist. If you follow my process, even if a therapist isn't trained with this, they can really provide wonderful support to you. So there's lots of options. There's so many cool things your brain can do when this you can help your brain process so many things and let things go that you will be joking about, oh my gosh, remember when I couldn't let that go? That's where you want to be. That's the good stuff. And people will be like, what? You had a problem with that? Yes, because it will not be apparent anymore because your brain will have created higher ways of being with that. And just creating function. So, having said that, it was wonderful connecting with you. Like, share, follow, share these videos, follow me on Facebook, subscribe to me on YouTube, and I'll see you around. Take care.